John Brown, fanatic abolitionist, raided Harper's Ferry, the dividing line between North and South. The war threatened. South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union, but Montgomery, Alabama, was chosen as the first Confederate capital. Here Jefferson Davis, president of the Confederacy, lived. Feeling ran high in the southern states who believed their sovereign rights were imperiled by Lincoln's determination to hold them to the Union. Curiously, the song of the South, Dixie, was written by a northern minstrel. Picturesque old Charleston, South Carolina, was the first center of southern preparation for the impending clash. Senator John C. Calhoun defended the rights of the slave owners. He argued that bonded slavery with family care for life was superior to industrial slavery. South Carolina appealed to her sister states to join her in breaking away from the Union. 10 of these did. Fort Sumter near Charleston Harbor dominated the city. It was a federal fort. On a fatal day, this gun rashly fired on Fort Sumter. The Union government had been attacked. This was war. Rapidly, the men of the South left fragrant tobacco fields to carry arms, fighting, they believed, for their right to independence. Historic Raleigh, North Carolina, became a strategic center for war massing of men and of materials. Southern homes emptied of their men, like this home of Governor William Blount, pioneer of Tennessee, at Knoxville. The women of the South kept heart-aching vigil through the long, cruel years of war. Early during hostilities, the South's capital was shifted to Virginia, which remained vigorously rebellious until Grant took Richmond. This is the Confederate White House. And here the Confederate capital, where Virginia's legislators voted to join the war for secession. And Virginia gave the South its great leader, Robert E. Lee. This is General Lee's home in Richmond. The war wasn't taken very seriously in the North until the Southern Army crushed a large federal force at the Battle of Bull Run at Manassas, where Stonewall Jackson earned his name of Stonewall. By land and sea, the states fought. Admiral Farragut was the nation's naval chief. Here is the figurehead of his flagship, the Hartford, which chased raiders from northern ports. John Ericsson, a naturalized Swedish-American, designed the first ironclad, the Monitor, which fought the Merrimack in the first sea battle of iron ships. Here is the Merrimack's anchor. Union forces invaded the South, and at Fredericksburg, Virginia, on the Rappahannock River, they were shattered in a furious battle. "2,400 men lie buried here, 1,800 of them unknown." Again at Chancellorsville, the federal troops were repulsed. But the victory cost the South one of its great military leaders, Stonewall Jackson, killed here accidentally by one of his own pickets. Richmond venerates this monument of the man who never knew defeat, General Jackson. The South then invaded the North at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Huge armies concentrated for a decisive battle. From this gun was fired the first shot in the Battle of Gettysburg on July the 1st, 1863. In the seesaw of the furious battle, this observation tower was seized and used by both sides. General Warren of the Union forces memorialized just as he stood surveying the battlefield. Sharpshooters on both sides found nests of rocks as natural strongholds. This one was fittingly called the Devil's Den. Desperately over this ground, as superior forces wore them down, General Pickett led his men in a terrific charge. It failed. This statue of General Reynolds marks the part of the battlefield occupied by the Federal troops. Abraham Lincoln slept in this house at Gettysburg, the night before he dedicated the battlefield.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
Here is the spot where the immortal Gettysburg Address was made.
That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God may have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
The statue to General Lee and the Virginians who fell. A decisive Northern victory was the siege and capitulation of Vicksburg after heavy fighting on the Mississippi. Now a splendid national park in Vicksburg brings rest and peace where once raged Red War. General Pemberton commanded the Confederate troops at Vicksburg, holding out against great odds, and so he is honored by his compatriots. So too is the vigorous and victorious Northern commander, General Grant, later President Grant. Tennessee became a theater of war. Lookout Mountain and Moccasin Bend saw terrific struggles. The Union Army sought the prize city of Chattanooga in its victorious march southward. This rock, Umbrella Rock, was a point of vantage for the Union leaders in the fighting about Chattanooga. Pretty and peaceful now, this is still called Bloody Pond because of the Battle of Chickamauga Creek. Both sides fought desperately for this water. Union soldiers broke into Chattanooga on this locomotive. 8 of them were killed. Towards the end of the war, fierce fighting took place along Missionary Ridge in Tennessee. The Union forces pressed on relentlessly against weakened and ill-provided opposition. Then came the Battle of Appomattox, Virginia, the last hope. Here is the site of the McLean House at Appomattox, General Lee's headquarters. And under this tree at Appomattox on a cool spring day, Robert E. Lee surrendered to General Grant. The war was over. This bridge at Appomattox stands to the memory of the men of both North and South, a bridge of brotherhood. At Durham, North Carolina, the last leader of the South, General Joseph E. Johnston, surrendered to General Sherman, pleading for unity, which this monument stands for. And each year, the thinning lines of the blue and the gray march in memory of the war that gave us one country under God forever.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help us produce more compelling historical content like this, please like, comment below, and share this video with fellow history buffs. And of course, be sure to subscribe to help keep history happening.